underneath the Vatican. Yes, St. Peter is buried there, but he's not the only one. A new site has recently opened at the Vatican where you can visit an enormous City of the Dead, or necropolis, just underneath the Vatican. This new site is called the Vatican Necropolis at the Via Triumphalis, which is very different from the Scavi where St. Peter is buried. I'll go over that a little later on in this video. One huge difference is that when you visit St. Peter's tomb, absolutely no photos or video are allowed. So I can't show you anything to compare this site to. But at this new site, you can take video and photo to your heart's content. So let me show you this amazing new site you can visit at the Vatican. At the end of this video, I will tell you how to book and how you can combine this visit with your other Vatican visits. In 1956, they were digging to create a parking garage for Vatican employees, and they discovered this huge burial ground under the Vatican. They made further discoveries in 2003. The site has been sporadically open, but mostly to scholars. As of 2024, the Vatican has opened the site for everyone to visit, and it is truly amazing. This burial ground was once along the ancient road, the Via Triumphalis, which would of course have been outside the city walls, as it was not legal to bury people inside the city limits in ancient Rome. The tombs date from the Augustan age to the age of Constantine, and many are in an excellent state of preservation thanks to the landslides that buried them over the years. Also, thanks to these landslides, the tombs are really well preserved, and you can see frescoes and stunning mosaic floors. One of the things that you'll find here that you do not find when you visit the tomb of St. Peter are actual skeletons. I find this to be really incredible that they're still intact after so many years, but they are here and they seem to be in situ. The site is huge. It's around 1,000 square meters, or over 10,000 square feet. One of the things that's really fascinating about this site is that the graves are mostly of everyday people, like laborers, middle-class citizens, poor Romans, and even slaves and freedmen. Some are identified as imperial property, often belonging to Emperor Nero. This is a stark contrast to the often elaborate tombs of the patrician class that have survived so well elsewhere. The site is situated on Vatican Hill, and the tombs are arranged in terraces. Some of the tombs are individual, and others are collective, usually of families. We can also see areas that were used for ceremonies to honor the deceased. This site is enormously helpful for understanding how ancient Romans lived and how they honored their departed loved ones. The earliest tombs date back to the time of Emperor Augustus, so the end of the 1st century BCE and the start of the 1st century CE. These tombs show evidence of cremation and are usually small. We can see these as urns, amphora, and small stelae. Other early tombs consisted of what are called columbarie, which means a walled structure with niches for cinerary urns. These often had frescoes depicting nature scenes, along with black and white mosaic floors. It is amazing to me how well preserved these tombs are, considering they're 2,000 years old. The middle-level tombs are from the middle of the 1st century CE to the early 2nd century CE. These tombs started filling in unused space. These tombs are larger than the tombs we saw in the first period, and we can see the emergence of new burial practices which involved interment versus cremation. Interment spaces were sometimes below the floor, in walls inside small arches called arcosolia. Other interment spaces were just pits in the ground, and sometimes remains were placed in sarcophagi. The newest level tombs are from the mid-2nd century CE to the 4th century CE, which was the time of Emperor Constantine. These tombs featured larger chambers side by side. These spacious chambers could accommodate sarcophagi, which was the common burial practice of this era. Also, similar to the catacombs you see today, bodies were placed in the loculi below the arcosolia. These were much more numerous than those we see in the earlier period. You guys, this really is a city of the dead. This is incredible. It's very different from St. Peter's tomb in a lot of ways. It's certainly not claustrophobic at all. It is extremely well excavated. It's well presented, it's well marked. You have all these signs all over that you can read what everything is. You can really take your time. I think this is an amazing visit and really well worth doing. And you can combine it with a visit to the Vatican or not. This can be its own archaeological visit. So for sure, this is a lot less claustrophobic than the visit to St. Peter's tomb, but we are also about at street level here. You can even see daylight behind me. St. Peter's tomb is really, really deep, and that's one of the reasons that it's really claustrophobic. And another difference between this and St. Peter's tomb is that with St. Peter's tomb, you finish in the grotte of the popes, the grottos, and then you wind up in St. Peter's Basilica. So it's an added bonus that you skip the line to visit St. Peter's Basilica. This visit enters and exits on Piazza Risorgimento. It's completely unrelated to any other part of the Vatican. So from here, you are not going to get a shortcut to anywhere else. How do you book a visit to this new site at the Vatican? The easiest way to book is on the Vatican Museums website. At the time I'm making this video for you, the tour is only offered on Fridays and Saturdays. The tour is bookable in English or Italian. Sometimes it's only offered in English, other times it's only offered in Italian, so you just have to poke around the site till you find the time and the language that works for you. At the time I'm making this video for you, I don't know of any outside tour companies offering this tour. It's a new site, or at least newly reopened to the public, so maybe the tour companies haven't had a chance to organize yet, but I hope they will soon. For now, you can only take the tour that's available through the Vatican Museums website. Also, at the time I'm making this video, the tour costs 23 euros, and that includes the guide. It's not possible to visit this site without a guide. You have to go in with one of the Vatican guides, but once you're inside, you are pretty free to wander a little bit off from the tour group, or at least we were when we visited. So I'm on this tour, but you can kind of leave the guide a little bit and walk around and take your own pictures. They don't seem to mind that a lot of us have just gone off on our own, so I'm talking quietly because there's just us in here. It's really, really nice. It's a very quiet experience, and you can really take your time and look at everything. It's amazing. As far as I can tell, they offer this visit once a week in English and once a week in Italian, so you can sign up for the one in English. If you can't find one in English, you could obviously sign up for the one in Italian. We're not even listening to the guide. I know that sounds terrible, but really you can read a lot, and you can also study a lot on your own. You can see here there's just signs everywhere. It's really well done. To visit this site, the meeting point is on Piazza Risorgimento, which is about a halfway point between St. Peter's Basilica and the Vatican Museums. You'll enter through huge bronze doors, and then you'll be escorted past the underground Vatican parking lot to the entrance of the site. You'll then have a tour of the site in the language that you booked. The tour includes a fascinating film that shows how they discovered and excavated the site and how the study of the tombs has yielded such valuable information. So the visits last about an hour and a half. She even said an hour and 40 minutes. I feel like it's more than enough time. By the time you watch the film, an hour has passed. We're now kind of making our way to the exit, so you really can't leave early anyway. So just make sure to give yourself that amount of time. One last thing, we are still in Vatican City. We are about to go out those doors into Italy. If you want to combine this visit with other visits here in Vatican City, I suggest you book this visit first because it is the limiting factor since it only goes once a day and only on Fridays and Saturdays. Once you have your booking, you can then plan whatever other sites you want to visit here in Vatican City around that. I have the luxury of living here, so I personally would say that I wouldn't visit other sites on the same day as visiting this site, but if you're limited on time, you can absolutely see some other sites here, including the Vatican Museums and St. Peter's Basilica. If you are visiting other sites here in Vatican City besides the Necropolis at the Via Triumphalis, just make sure that you give yourself plenty of time between your appointments so that you have time to rest, grab a bite, and to contend with logistics like getting between sites, going through security, etc. Don't forget, this is the Vatican, so the dress code applies here. They will not let you in if you have bare shoulders or bare knees. And if you want to know how to visit the other necropolis here at the Vatican, where St. Peter is buried, check out my video right here.